So welcome to Westgate Community Schools. Thank you for joining us virtually. We're excited to have you. We are K-12 Gifted Education for the Whole Child. I am Sharon Collins. I am the Westgate Community School Executive Director. I've been at the school. This is my 10th year. Before coming to Westgate, I lived in Chicago and worked with students there. I started in the 90s as a social studies teacher in middle school, and then became a gifted teacher, gifted and talented district coordinator. And when our family was looking to make the move to Colorado, I looked for schools that aligned with my belief about gifted kids and families, and Westgate stood out to me, and I have been here since I moved to Colorado. Okay. At Westgate, everything starts in circle. So you see here a kindergarten class in the top picture, meeting in the morning in a circle. Students learn to greet one another. They take turns. They talk about important things that are going on, either at recess or in the classroom. They may answer a question, something like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite smell? And we also start in circle. This is a staff meeting. This was our first staff meeting that we could come together after COVID. So we met outside and we began with some stretching and saying hello to one another. The reason why everything starts in circle at Westgate is, first of all, you can see everyone and everyone is recognized, but also it goes back to our history. Westgate was started by a group of teachers and parents at a school that started talking at Carline when they were picking up their kids, and the discussions moved to, what do kids need in school? If we could build a school, what would we do? And they started to dream. And those conversations in a circle in a parking lot quickly moved to conversations around a kitchen table. And they started to think, can we start a school? What would we do? And what's the process of that? And within a year, that group of teachers and parents opened the doors for Westgate in their first year. And we started as a K-6 school. And since then, they added a year until we had our first graduating class. So before we get too much into this, I want to do a little bit of a warm up for you. And so I hope you enjoy this video.
Every generation must pass on the wisdom of the previous generations. If we don't keep the next chain connected to the ones that came before it, it's all gone. And who's the glue between those chains? It's you. It's you. This is a sacred trust as educators and parents. The sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light, that shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light, that shining light that guides the way. Is a sacred place. It's not a room in a school. It's any place where a teacher helps a child patiently and artfully in their journey. In this sacred place, we must nurture the gift of a question. In this sacred place, the teacher lights the way. This is a sacred trust as educators and parents. The sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light, that shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light, that shining light that guides the way. We have to ensure that testing serves education. We have to ensure that education does not serve testing. We as a nation now are teaching to the test. We as a nation now are beating all of the joy out of our classrooms. The book of knowledge is not written in our genes. What's written in our genes is the journey. We should be nurturing that gift of a question. We should help frame that pathway to an answer. The teacher's the guide. It's a student's classroom. They are remarkable explorers. This is a sacred trust as educators and parents. A sacred trust. We've got to be that light. We've got to be that light, that shining light that guides the way. We've got to be that light, that shining light that guides the way.
If you were to leave now, you have to go, you would know a lot about what we believe about schools, students, and the partnership between school and family. Every time I see that, I'm like, yes, this is what it's about. This is what education is all about. So those of you who just joined us, welcome. I'm Sharon Collins. I'm the Executive Director of Westgate. This is a little agenda about what you'll be hearing tonight. Brief history of Westgate, and a little bit about our programming model. Many of you are here to find either your child's first school or the next school that they'll be going to. And then we'll talk about what makes us special, and then the enrollment process and the lottery, and then we'll have time for questions and answers. If you have a question, you can go ahead and type it in the chat, and Holly and will be helping me answer those questions if I don't answer them during the during the presentation. So welcome. Brief history of Westgate. As I said before, we are a grassroots charter school. We're in our 14th year of operations. I've been here 10 years. And we are a school that was started by parents and teachers dreaming about what school could be for kids. The first thing our founders got to do was name our school, and Westgate does mean something to us. It's about welcoming exceptional students to gifted and talented education, and that's Westgate. Our mission: at Westgate Community School, gifted education is provided to all students in a community that nurtures the whole child, empowers students to be authentic, supports individuals in reaching their own academic goals, develops stewardship for the environment, and inspires passion for serving the global community. So our programming model. What I would love to have you all do now, if you have access to the chat, let us know what are the grades your kids are coming into. Are you kindergarten parents? Are you ninth grade parents? Are you looking for high school? Are you looking for a third grade? So let us know who you are so that I can tailor this a bit for our program tonight.
All right, we got a couple kinders, first grade, sixth grade, fifth grade.
All over. Okay.
Got it.
Yep. All right. So I will try and hit on those kindergarten and like middle grades very heavily for you. So what makes us special as you're looking for your next school and kindergarten parents for the first school after preschool, if they've been there, for your child. Where are they going to be? What makes us special is our focus on the whole child. And at Westgate, that means mind, body, and community. And I'll talk a little bit more about what each of those categories means to us. When we talk about the mind, the first thing is academic depth and complexity. So we are not just talking about acceleration for gifted students, but we're talking about deep and complex thinking and instruction in all of the classes. And depth and complexity is a gifted and talented framework of teaching and learning. And all of our teachers and paraprofessionals are trained in depth and complexity. We pre-test, we differentiate, we course compact. If the whole class knows something, we don't teach it again. We have student-centered instructional practices that are flexible. We are a small school and we have small class sizes. So in kindergarten, that means 15 to 18 students as a max in the class. And for all other grades, it's 25 students per class. Each grade has 50 students through 8th grade. And then in high school, we can take up to 30 students per grade level. We do needs-based instruction. We have mixed age teams, social emotional learning, or what we call advocacy, as a part of every single day. Every child starts their day in circle. We have a social emotional lesson during the day, during advocacy time. Sometimes that's in the morning, sometimes that's later at a different part of the day, but there's actual instruction happening every day. We breathe, we teach mindfulness. We have a wonderful, I can say as a parent, and unique work at home policy. And that is your children will not be getting assigned homework. We want every child either to be read to every night or to read every single night and to practice some math, whether it's counting things all the way up to doing math games, practicing math facts. And the only time your child may have homework, K-8, is if they're not really productive in the class. They may get really interested in researching something and they haven't done the other part of the assignment. A teacher will email you and say they did all of this research today, but they need to write down like 5 facts, or they have to come in with the topics of their 5-paragraph essay for each paragraph, what they're going to be talking about. So the teacher will communicate that. But we believe that teachers learn most about where kids are academically by seeing them work in class and watching them and asking them about their thought process and what they're thinking is as they're struggling with the work. And so that's why most of the work is handled in the classroom. We also believe that students and families should pursue passions outside of school. They should play, they should be in sports and take those lessons that they want to. They should be able to just be with their families in the evening, and that time is as important to the whole child as the academic day. And then in kindergarten, it is a full day of academics. We also include imaginative play and purposeful play, because we do believe that that is what solidifies many of the instructional concepts at that age. Oh, there we are. Body. I hope I don't move past it. So mind, body, and community. We allow our kids to move in class. Everybody K-8 has recess. Our youngest kids, K-2, have an hour of recess a day. 3 through 5 has 45 minutes and 30 minutes, 6 through 8. We believe in health education for all, PE for all grade levels, And in teaching, explicitly teaching self-regulation, modeling, and practicing. So we teach mindful breathing, how to count, and we have a whole school take a break policy. As adults, if something is overwhelming or we can't quite get it, if we're at work or at home, we can get up, go for a walk in the house or in the office, get a drink of water, talk about something else, come back and start again. So in our school, all students can say, I need to take a break. And that means maybe they go to the pod, they get a drink of water, they fill their water bottle, they breathe, and then they can come back and start again. And we think that that is important because we want our children to learn to self-regulate. However, we don't give them the opportunities all of the time to do that, to say, hey, I'm working with this group right now and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. And instead of getting upset, I'm going to say to the teacher, I need to take a break, or even outside at recess to a friend that's maybe not playing very nice with me, I can say, I need to take a break. And then they can go back to playing later. Community, multi-grade teams, that means your children have the opportunity to be followers and leaders at many times. So when I'm on the 1-2 team, the second graders welcome the first graders in. They say, this is how we do things on the team. And the first graders learn from them. And when they become second graders, they can turn to the new first graders and say, hi, I'm a second grader. Welcome to our team. This is how we do things on the team. And they support and take care of one another. The teachers teach as a team. So there are 4 teachers on every team and they know all 100 students. They have a common plan time where they talk about kids and instruction and what they're doing. We have a wonderful peer mentoring program where our high school students apply to be peer mentors. And once they are selected, they are trained and they become friends and peer mentors to younger students who may need that support. We have great after-school clubs. We engage our families. We love family volunteers, and we appreciate our families very much and know, again, that they are part of our community. So what makes Westgate Community special? We have a profound understanding of gifted learners. It's what we do. It's what we love. We weave service learning into every week in our school and every grade. Environmental education is at the core of what we do as well. We have a wonderful environmental education campus. If you haven't been here, come on the weekends, come on an evening, play on the playground, ride the zip line, go see our chickens and goats and see the campus. And we have concurrent enrollment in our high school, which I'll talk more about. So Linda Silverman is a gifted specialist from here. Her office, the Gifted Development Center, is here in Westminster. And she said last year at the National Association for Gifted conference, she said, when gifted children are asked what they most desire, the answer is often a friend. And when I think about that and I think about our kids, gifted kids many times through their life feel out of step with other people, that they don't quite get their peers and their peers don't quite get them. And it's a wonderful reminder that connection, belonging, and love are at the foundation of everything, and that includes learning. At service learning, it's K-12. Our younger students do projects in the community, at the school. They become an expert on the topic over the year. They identify what service would serve their topic and be useful. And then they present their project to the community later in the year. This is an outlet for students who are project and passion oriented. They can shine. This is where they become leaders. You see some pictures of work that's done in the community, and also our high schoolers who go their local freshman year. They do state service. Their sophomore year as juniors, they go to New Mexico and work with Habitat for Humanity, building a house. And as seniors, they go international and they serve the world. And our seniors have been to Belize to do turtle research. Last year, they went to Thailand to do work with elephant sanctuaries. They went to Puerto Rico to do hurricane relief, Costa Rica to help build walls in a community. So our seniors have seen the world and done service, and it's really something we make important at the school. Environmental education is also a critical need for gifted learners. This is from Michelle Kane. The exquisite sensitivity of the gifted needs nurturing support for it to flourish. Teach gifted learners to love themselves, one another, and the planet. This is sort of a map of our gifted or our environmental education campus. We have 2 playgrounds. We have blacktops with, basketball hoops. We have a large running field. We have an amphitheater. We have gardens, both ground gardens and box gardens, so that they can do some research in their classes. How do things grow better? What does the soil need? And we have our chickens and goats and barn cats. We have honeybees at the far end of the property. We really do bring the environment into all aspects of education. And we have an environmental education expert, Charlie Maupin, who goes into all classes and teaches our students. Our high school is concurrent enrollment. They can earn their associate degree in 4 years while they're earning their high school diploma. It's a tiny school, like I said, up to 30 students per grade, but they go to Front Range Community College, one of the largest community colleges in the state. So they go to the Westminster campus. There's more opportunities for advanced learning. They can take the classes they want. If they want to go to mines, they get them on the mines track, and that's the associate's degree they get. All of their credits transfer. It's a wonderful program for students who are ready for more challenging work and want to work very closely with their peers, but then be exposed to students of really all ages at Front Range. It's less traditional. It means more freedom. It's less restrictive, but not only can they earn associate's degrees, we have students earn certificates all the time. We had one student who wants to be a nurse. She is a nurse now. She completed her CNA by the end of her sophomore year, and by junior year, she was a certified nursing assistant, and that was her job through the rest of school. We help students choose their courses best for their associate's track. We transport the students by bus to school, or when they start driving, they drive themselves. We pay the tuition, and parents pay for books and fees. Students are actual students of Front Range Community College. They have access to all of their resources, productions, clubs, musical ensembles. They can earn up to 60 credit hours and get those certificate and VOTEC options. So we are inclusive full-time gifted education, and that's a little different philosophy than some of the other gifted schools in the area. You do not have to submit gifted credentials or psychological testing at the beginning. We oftentimes identify students over time with portfolio and testing that we do at 2nd grade and 6th grade, and along the way if we need to, if students are new. We live, like I said, Colorado is sort of a hotbed for gifted and talented research and education professionals. And George Betts and Maureen Neihart came up with the profiles of gifted and talented. And they were teachers at Arvada West High School. And they were brand new teachers. We call them baby teachers in their first, second year of teaching, and they were placed in a behavior room that, where students were sent, and they taught them all day. And what they started to realize is that these students are really smart. And so they started to think that there were different types of gifted people and and they came up with these types. Nobody is one type their entire life. You can move through these different types depending on the day or what's happening around you. But type 1, the successful student, is what most teachers are taught a gifted child looks like. It's the stereotypical gifted student who's most likely to be identified. It's more girls than boys. It's people who can stay in their seat and raise their hand and remember to turn in all their work, and they help their friends. These are the students typically identified by teachers. But they thought there's more. And they called type 2 the challenging student, the nonconformists, the divergent thinkers. We now call them creative thinkers. These are the students who will raise their hand and tell the teacher that they're wrong. And they don't mean to be disrespectful, but they just know more about that topic, especially if it's about space or dinosaurs or Pokemon or one of those things. They have expert knowledge and they like to share it. Type 3 is the underground. This happens a lot around middle school age. They underachieve so they can fit in with their friends. Many times it's females. They don't want to identify as gifted so that their friends don't think they're different. So they start to sort of dim their light around that time. And what we want to say is no. Your gifts and your differences are what make you wonderful and unique, and we want to accept them all. Type 4 were called dropouts. Now they're called at risk. We know students don't drop out in high school on their 16th or 17th birthday. It's a process that happens over time in school. And these students seem angry, school is irrelevant, and they'd rather be doing something else. These are the students that sit in the back with like paper clips and make, paperclip sculptures rather than listening and doing what the class is doing. We have to watch out for those students, and we have to make sure they're getting their academic needs met while learning that sometimes you have to do things that are non-preferred tasks. And then there's something called twice exceptional or multi-exceptional. And this is when you have gifted identification and IQ over 130, and you have a disability, whether it's anxiety or ADHD, whether it's dyslexia, a reading deficit or a writing deficit. Often what happens is the gift masks the disability, so it's not identified until later in school, and the disability masks the giftedness. Parents are the best identifiers of gifted, twice exceptional and multi-exceptional students. And so this is many times where a parent will say to a teacher early on, first, second grade, do you think my child might be gifted? And the teacher says, well, no, I don't really see that. Tell me more. And the parent might say, they say the most profound things in the back of the car, or they have such a wonderful imagination. And the teacher's like, they're kind of the middle of the road. And it's not until 5th or 6th grade where the content becomes much more difficult, where the child can no longer, their gifts can no longer say, oh, I need to do this or this just by watching their peers. And so that's when teachers and parents will sit down and say sort of what's happening. And many times that's where a disability is identified. And once they get the support for the disability, the giftedness starts to really shine through. And so this is where George Betts and Maureen Neidhart were. And they said, these are the types. And they kept doing work and they said, no, there's actually another type, the autonomous learner. And this is where we want to get all students through those times of being challenging or creative and being an underachiever. What we want to do is make them autonomous learners. It's intrinsically motivated. They understand the difference between grades versus mastery. And we had students go on to Front Range Community College, and the first year they came back and we brought them all together and we said, bring us your syllabus and we'll talk through it. And a student raised his hand and he said, mine says 10% attendance. And we said, yes. And he says, that's compliance. That has nothing to do with mastery. And we said, yes. And he said, great, then I can get 80s on things and I'll still get an A in the class. He understood then that what the professor thought was important was him being in class, and that meant something to the professor, but he also saw sort of the game that can be played in education. Your kindergartners will not be autonomous learners by the time they leave kindergarten, but what we hope is by the time they reach 8th grade, they've learned all of those self-advocacy skills that will carry them into whatever high school they wish to go to. We need our students to be problem solving, and we need them to take reasonable risks. And creativity and entrepreneurial mindset makes you have to be willing to take risks and fail so that you can fail forward. So creative thinkers, that's what our school's filled with. So what do they need? They have to feel safe. They have to trust the people around them. And it's not just the teacher, it's everyone in the school, their peers, the staff, the administrators. They have to feel trust. We believe in cooperation more than competition. And this is because there's competition everywhere. They compete to be who's going to be first in line, what they do out at recess. We want our students to learn how to cooperate and work as a team inside the classroom. We want them to feel safe to say to their peer, how did you get that? How did you do that? And that's what learning together in an environment like this is like. We're a community of learners, and we give children and students choice. How do you want to present that learning to me? Sometimes it's one way, sometimes you have a menu of choices, and sometimes you can bring your own idea. And we ask our teachers to really be open-minded about that, because that's where students can soar. Another video.
In 1962, Desmond Morris published his book, The Biology of Art, which details his experiments teaching chimpanzees to paint. The chimps enjoyed painting immensely and eagerly created works of energetic colors and strokes. One phase of Morris's experiment involved rewarding the chimps for producing their paintings. Whenever a chimpanzee painted, he received a peanut. Surprisingly, very soon the quality of paintings began to degenerate until the chimps produced the bare minimum that would satisfy the experimenter. Any joy found in the act of painting was lost as the chimps uncaringly slapped paint on their canvases and ran to collect their peanuts.
You will not see at Westgate treasure boxes and rewards given to students for doing things. Every young teacher and parent knows we have teachers who, one day a student is outside at recess and they pick up a bunch of trash and the teacher says, "Thank you so much, come inside and get a Jolly Rancher." The next day there are 15 students with one piece of trash saying, "Where's my Jolly Rancher?" And so what we want students to learn is that we work and serve the environment because it's worthwhile. It feels good, and I know it's right. It's an intrinsic motivation, and that's rewarding. So we do, as a school, maybe we'll do a can collection around the holidays, or many times not around the holidays, because that's when food banks need more donations. And we set a school goal. We work on that goal. We meet it or don't meet it together. And if we meet the goal, we celebrate together. And if we don't meet the goal, we problem solve. How could we have done differently? Do we need to advertise more? Do we need to go to classrooms? But what we don't do is pit homerooms against one another, and one homeroom gets a pizza party while the others get nothing. We work together and we celebrate together. And it can be something as simple as a 10-minute dance party in the hallway and the whole school joins into the dance party. We like to celebrate our successes. So how do we measure academic success? We are a public school, and so we do NWEA MAP, and this measures growth over the year and from year to year. And then CMAS is the state testing, and we are a performance rated school. We've been a performance rated school, and this measures both achievement and growth over time. And this is math, language arts, science. Social studies hasn't been given the last few years, and now the state is working on new social studies standards. So I believe that will be coming back. And so this is for 3rd grade through 8th grade, and then 11th grade also takes the science test. And then our high schoolers, 9th and 10th grade, take the PSAT, and our 11th graders take the SAT. So this is, we don't make all of the high schoolers continue to take the NWA MAP test because they have finals in their high school classes, they have finals in their college classes. There's a lot of testing and data we have now that our high school is at full growth and working with FRCC. And so this is a group in math. They started in 5th grade where we started measuring them. And you see the nation, the red line, starts to sort of taper off from 8th grade, where our students continue to diverge from that norm and continue to grow over time. And here's the same cohort in reading, and they, again, too, nation flatlines. We'll talk about 7th grade in a second. I was always like, what happened? And I used to make jokes like, oh, there was drama. Somebody broke up with somebody. They were in 7th grade. And one of my assistant principals, former assistant principal, said to me, she's like, no, that's my class. This group had a teacher leave right before the end of the year MAP test. And she said, that's the class I came in and started teaching at the end of the year. And it shows profoundly what losing a teacher can do, but also what growth students can have. And she said, but what I take pride in is that huge steep spike from 7th grade to 8th grade. And then they continued to grow as they went into our high school and diverge from that norm. SAT scores, this is for last year. The state average was 985, district was 982.2, and Westgate was 1,028.2. And we had 22 students. So if one student got a low score, it really does, the end matters. It really would have brought down the average. So we're very proud of that because the state has so many students, the district even has thousands of students that they can measure against, where one low score doesn't really impact their average as much. Our students did great, and they continue to do that. Matriculation, what schools do our kids go to? Kind of all over, all the CUs, DU, Stanford, NYU, Art Institute. Some go back to Front Range and complete their associates if they haven't done that. We have Colorado College, we have Arizona State, Southern Florida. So they go in and out of the state. And we're very proud of our students and where they go once they leave us. This is from Dr. Eisner. The more we stress in schools only what we can measure, the more we need to remember that not everything that is measurable matters, and not everything that matters is measurable. So yes, we do well on state assessments, and our students matriculate to great colleges, but what else are we looking at? And we redefine success in a number of ways, with our animals, with our environmental program, with our peer mentors, which is a nationally recognized program that's been highlighted on NPR as well as other news organizations. And this is one of the posters. During CMAS, we have kindergarten, first and second graders who have to be in school while other people are testing for weeks. And so we've come up with a tradition where they decorate the hallways with signs and posters, and we believe in you and do your best on the test. And what this does is foster a positivity around testing. So by the time they become third graders, they're wondering, what are the K2 students going to do for us? What are the hallways going to look like for us? And there's less fear around the test because there's an excitement around it. So we try to work that in. We also are a leader in bully prevention.
Using this month to introduce the program to all of its students.
Bully proof it. That's the message here at Westgate Community School in Thornton.
The positivity level has gone up tremendously.
Kaylee Wilcox is encouraged. She experienced bullying firsthand at another school.
I cut my hair short for a cancer patient and they made fun of me a lot for it, but I am fine now.
Now she's on a committee to help prevent bullying, and she's helping to introduce a brand new protocol called Enough Walk and Talk. It starts with a symbol.
When people are being picked on, sometimes they don't have a good way to let the other person know, hey, this needs to stop and I'm not feeling proper. So the enough symbol, it's like this, and you just say enough when you do it.
If that doesn't work, the student can walk away, and if that doesn't work, they find a teacher and talk.
And through practice, we're going to be able to empower all of our students to do that.
The school will also start a kindness box working with standforcourage.org to nominate students for rewards. The school is also encouraging inclusion, even on the playground.
At the beginning of the year, the school installed 2 of these blue buddy benches. So if a student doesn't have anyone to play with, they can come over and take a seat.
You can see how it works. Education at this school includes lessons in kindness.
Now, the Enough Walk and Talk protocol will be taught to all students at the school, kindergarten through 12th grade, and hopefully it will sink in and make some sort of difference.
So great to see the kids taking a leadership role.
And it goes on to talk a little bit more about us, and I'm really proud of the work that we do in bully prevention. We were also highlighted in an IndieFlix documentary film called The Upstanders. It came out in January of 2020 about the work that we do here with our students around bully education and prevention. And we still teach the Enough Walk Talk protocol to all students. October was Bully Prevention Month, and every student learned it once again and got to practice.
Using this
I've talked a lot about social emotional learning and whole child education, mind body community. These are things our school was founded upon: environmental education, service learning. And when 14 years ago, teachers and parents went to the district and said, this is our idea for a school, I think they thought, I don't know about this. And what we know now is that social emotional learning and gifted and talented education being good for all students is sort of the norm. And I want to show you a little TED Talk that talks about leadership in learning. We love a TED Talk.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course, you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not two nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type, like the shirtless dancing guy, that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but you might have missed the biggest lesson. Is it is open? Yes. And he'll. But it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, TED. Thanks.
We have been leaders in bully prevention, in our advocacy program, and social emotional learning, and our peer mentoring program. And when people ask us, how do you do that? We say, come here and let's show you and take what works for you. And then when we see a school or an organization doing something, just like we want our students to turn around to their peer and say, how did you do that? We want to do the same thing. We want to lead and follow. We want to see what great is happening and borrow from those people and those organizations what will work at Westgate. So we're an ever-evolving school. We are innovative. We do like to stay on top of the research and what's happening in education. And it's important to us to do that. And so, yes, we might have been a little out there 14 years ago, but what time has shown is what those parents and teachers knew was good for kids was right. And so we will continue to partner with parents, teachers, and students to find out what's the next thing, what's the next innovation that's right for schools and good for our kids. So we're at the enrollment process. K-8 enrollment. You apply to Westgate. The application already opened on December 1st. You can go in. It's a pretty easy application. Attend an information night. Yay, you've all done that. Some of you may have already taken a tour. I've been talking sort of big picture ideas, where the school comes from, what our philosophies are. When you come and take a tour with Rochelle Goforth, our enrollment director, it's a lot of nuts and bolts. You get to see kids in the classrooms, teachers teaching, what it looks like in practice, how lunches work, before and after care, all of that. What about car line? All of that is talked about in the tours. So if you haven't yet, please come take a tour and see it all happening. The applications are due Friday, January 27th, and we will do the lottery, and you will get lottery results February 3rd. We're always asked, how many seats are available in 4th grade? We never know. So we do ask our families In January, they're intent to return, so we can open up as many seats as possible right away in the lottery. For kindergarten, 54 seats is the most that we'll have because we have 3 kindergartens. If your student is not drawn, they're in the wait pool. And so, excuse me. Do not get worried. They may get a seat as people decline seats or more students move. High school, apply to Westgate. You need to apply to Front Range and take the AccuPlacer. That's at FRCC. Attend a night, take a tour. Once accepted, attend a FRCC information meeting, and then you will attend an advisor meeting and choose your classes. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong year, 2023. 30 seats are available, and the priority is given to college-ready AccuPlacer scores. So it would be Westgate students with an AccuPlacer score, Adams 12, and then out of district. Excuse me.
Sometimes life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking and don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. So keep looking, don't settle. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. Sometime life...
Thank you for being here tonight. I would say to you, we first think Steve Jobs would have been a great Westgate kid. Don't stop looking for the perfect school for your child. Find that place, because when the right school meets a child, miracles happen. And if it's not Westgate, thank you for coming and checking us out. But don't stop until you find what's right for your student. I love Westgate. It's the perfect place for me. And we see that in so many kids. But you as a parent know what's right for you and your family. And don't give up. It's out there. So we're going to go ahead and do some questions and answers. Let me. Oops. Trying to stop.
Well, while you're looking, Sharon, you did have one question already. A parent earlier wanted to know how the high schoolers pay for the field trips.
Fundraising and family. So we pick the trip early as freshman year, so they can start saving for them, and the classes do fundraise together as well.
And do you use a grade level criteria or a discrepancy-based criteria for SPED? In other words, if a kid isn't meeting their potential due to a disability, what criteria do you use when you give them formal interventions?
It depends on the student, what the disability is. So I would send you to our Director of Special Education, Tessa McLear, and she could explain that process to you completely. But there is a discrepancy. So I know sometimes in past schools I've been at, it's been hard to get gifted students services because they are academically high in some areas, but that doesn't mean they don't need services in other areas. So you could be a very strong reader, but need math services, or you could be gifted in math and be dyslexic and really need targeted services in that area. So we look at each student individually. They do a full battery of assessments and then determine if they're eligible. There's also 504s, which are classroom accommodations for students who need a different kind of support, maybe chunking of assignments, things like that.
All right, and what happens to a student if they don't meet gifted criteria after testing through the year?
They're a student here and they get gifted education anyway, because we know that gifted education and deep and complex work at everybody's zone of proximal learning is the best way to grow. So we place kids in classes based on need. So if your first grader needs third grade math, they'll get third grade math, but maybe they need to be on level for reading, or maybe they need support in reading. Each student is sort of met where they're at. Teachers pre-test to find out where students are at. They group, they differentiate, and they teach the students. So you do not have to be identified gifted to stay at Westgate. It's important for families to be able to stay together. If one student is identified gifted, but others are not, and twice exceptional students are harder to identify than successful gifted students. And so we keep those students and families together in one school, and they all get gifted education.
One parent wants to know that if a first grader has already been tested GT at another school, do they need to retest?
No. So if they come in with GT identification, it's super easy in Adams 12 because they have an ALP. But if they come in with an advanced learning plan from another school, we take that as well. And then our gifted coordinator, Cassie Siebold, will put all of that together and submit it to Adams 12 for you if you're not from here.
And another person wants to know, well, tell us more about how the pod system works.
Yes, so grades are grouped together, 2 grades. So first and second grade, third and fourth, fifth and sixth, seventh and eighth. There are 4 classes around a community space or pod. And so all 1-2 students use the same pod and community space, and the classes are around it. And that community space can be used for quiet learning time, small groups working together, and it's a place that sort of becomes their home. Kindergarten is kept, they're in the 1-2 pod at the other end, but the kindergartners sort of stay together, and they have recess with first and second grade and third and fourth grade.
All right, and one family wants to know about the diversity profile of the school and the commitment to multicultural global education, and do we have dual or multi-language offerings?
We don't have dual and multi-language. We do have multilingual learners in our school, and diversity, I'm trying to remember all of the numbers from charter renewal this year. We are about 20% free and reduced lunch. Male to female, we're about equal. And we are majority, we sort of mirror our community. So our numbers are very similar to that. We take diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging very seriously here. Our teachers are trained in that. They lead in it. We believe in a welcoming. That's the W in our Westgate. We're a welcoming community to to all people, and that is students and families, including our grandparents, aunts, and uncles. We want to be welcoming to all of the people in our community.
All right, and how does the school support students who need IEPs?
The same way they would, we would in any public school. So we have special education teachers, we have occupational therapists, speech and language therapists, physical therapists. So they work on their goals. They have a teacher who meets with them either as pull-out or push-in model, where their teachers are co-teaching in a classroom. So it looks very similar to any public school. So that's sort of what it looks like here as well.
All right, and that was the last question currently in the chat.
Don't be shy.
Oh, someone's typing.
Okay. Oh, thank you for coming. And we don't expect everybody to stay. If you have your information, we won't feel bad if you start exiting, but I'll stick around a little bit if there's some questions that are coming up for people. Our calendar is different. We have a 2-week fall break at the beginning of October. We have a 3-week winter break, 2-week spring break, and we have 8 weeks in the summer. We don't envision that changing. Our families love it. We start early August, and it's what has worked. We find that those natural breaks, so it's Q1, then you have a couple of weeks off, Q2, then you have 3 weeks off for winter, Q3, 2 weeks off for summer, or for spring break, and then Q4, and then you have your 8 weeks of summer, which our parents have found is enough. 8 weeks is enough, and then they come back to school. But October is a great time to travel as a family. It's cheaper. And so both our students, our parents, families, and staff have found that that's like a wonderful break. We love our fall break. And teachers come back a little early, and we do professional development and get ready for kids, and then the students start. So teachers come back on Thursday and Friday, they get ready, and then students come back. And that's been wonderful, and it's a great rhythm to the year. Yeah, we love it. And we also have Champions, which is before and after care. So if you can't do that, and many times my son is in Champions because I'm here working or whatever during breaks, and so they can be in there all day, 6:30 in the morning to 6 at night. And they do that during the breaks.
This question's for Rochelle. When are the school tours?
So the next ones I have are January. I'm going to pull it up. I should know it off the top of my head. The next ones we have are January 17th, January 18th, and then I have some on February 7th and February 8th. You can RSVP for any of those. All of them right now are scheduled from 9 to 10 a.m. in the morning. It's just a great time to like walk around and see all the classrooms in action, and you don't get stuck in car line when you first get here. We save that for later. And then if those days don't work for you guys, you can always shoot me an email and we can find another time to take a look at the school as well. Yeah.
It's great to see kids and teachers doing their thing. That's when you get a feel for, is this the right place for my child? It's hard otherwise to really determine, but come and see it, and we're proud to show off our kids and teachers. They're amazing.
We also, if you're in the email list, you know, like if you've signed up now for parent night and tours, or if you've started or submitted an application, I'm going to send a big sign up for students that are applying for 5th through 12th grade to do a half-day shadow as well. And so if that's something your child's interested in, definitely snag one of those times.
Emotional support, there's a ton. We have 2 counselors. We have the peer mentors. We have a school psychologist. We have Pete, our facility dog, who works with one of our counselors. We have Circle every morning and advocacy, where they're learning social and emotional skills. And the mechanisms that are there for little kids, they can come down to the front desk and fill out a form for our Alexa Kinslow, who's our K-6 counselor, and she will pick up those. And our older kids can ask for a counselor appointment online, and they can do that from school or from home. Parents can do that for their kids. You can email our counselors and request that they talk to your children. They do play groups, they do social groups for students that may come up for teachers that they're having difficulty socially, and they may bring a group of students together around the same age and play board games and things like that to learn some of those skills. So there's a lot we do here to support our kids.
And Rochelle, did you see the question about the shadow invite?
I did. I had to sneak and look at my thing again because I couldn't remember. Yeah. So I have it scheduled for January 27th. So it will be before the seat offers go out. And people kind of play it different ways. Sometimes they wait to see if they got a seat offer. And then maybe, if we can squeeze it in before that 5-day deadline to accept or decline the seat, we can do that. Yeah. And some people, because they don't want to get their kids' hopes up or things like that. So we can set them up on other days as well. It doesn't have to be on that day if that's not how you're kind of playing the enrollment game.
Yeah. Any other questions? Oh. To welcome new students in? Yes. So there's back to school night, first of all, that all students come in and they get to see who their advocate is going to be for the year. But each team has they work a few days of sort of bringing the new team together, because there's always one grade that's new and new students. So they do a lot of team building the first 2 weeks of school. Everybody gets to know everyone. They get to know their teachers. They are going to classes, but there's a lot of team building that's done during that time. And that's a wonderful time and something that we're really proud of here too. Because it's not that fearful, I'm not going to know anybody. If they've come for a shadow, they already have a friend, and maybe many friends that they've met that day. But then also, once they come in, there's a lot of work done, because there's always new people on a team. 50% of the team is new to the team that year. And so that feels good. It's not like this is 6th grade that's always been together and I'm one of 3 new students. It's, oh, wow, we're a team of 150 are new this year from last year. And so that makes being new to a team easier. And was there another question or no?
There is. It says, are there any club offerings, music, science club, theater, 4-H?
Yes. So we do 2 theater performances a year, and we have clubs offered every semester or every quarter. We have sound formation that does drumming and piano every quarter. The drumming is interesting because it also has a math component to it. So that's a very interesting club for our younger students, and piano is 5th and up. We also have rock band, which is 7th and 8th. And then the alumni of the rock band who are in the high school also play with our music teacher on other days. And we have Sticky Fingers, which is a cooking club. And then there's running club, there's magic, there's crochet, there's fun club, there's coloring club for little kids. There's so every day of the week except Friday, there are club offerings for students, and it's a quarter at a time. So it's even something they can try for a quarter, and if they don't love it, next quarter they can do a different club. Anything else? No? Oh, our club enrollment's limited. Yes. But there are many offerings, and sometimes, you know, it's like a teacher will say, I'll take 30 students in a club. The play, I can't remember how many they took. I think it's like 60 or so. There's, it's quite a bit.
60.
It was, yeah. And so the rock band is, it starts out 7-8. The students who take music, they can take an elective for an entire semester. And that's what starts it. So anybody can take that and then join the rock band that way. And then we have singers who are like, no, I want to take art for my elective for a semester, but I want to still sing in the rock band, stuff like that. So there are limits, but we haven't had too much complaints about if we have, you know, double the people ask for it, we may ask for another teacher. So there's 2 teachers running the club so they can take more kids. Nobody's typing? Holly, you can't see anything? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Come see us. If you get off and you're the call now and you're like, oh, I wish I would have asked, please email. You can email Rochelle, you can email me, and we can make sure the right person gets your question to answer you. Thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful night.